What up, y'all? Thank you so much for tuning in. You're listening to For the Record. We are 4 Black millennials going through the struggle, and we got a lot of opinions along the way. I'm your host, Erica Green, also known as the Podcast Princess, also known as Erica the Stallion.
Yes. I'm Darian Stevenson. I'm usually fine as wine, but today I'm feeling a little sad, a little stressed out, a little caged in, all those good things.
Ooh,
so, you know, trying my best here.
Okay.
I am Fire Lord Justin.
Period. I've never seen Airbender, so I don't know what that means, but I'm just gonna nod my head.
We'll get into that in a second.
No,
okay.
But I plan to, because you have convinced me via Twitter, Justin. You have convinced me. And
Phenomenal television program.
I'm Joe the realist, giving you that big unbothered energy. No,
Period. Poo.
No, I'm honored. Oh, thanks.
Period. Poo.
That's it.
Yeah, Joe's real unbothered. Like, yeah, Joe's real unbothered. Like, she's kind of just like,
It's the tree.
Whatever. It's the what?
It's the what?
It's the tree.
It's the weed.
Yeah.
Oh, girl.
That'll do that too.
I was like, what tree?
Tree, the herb, whatever.
I'm like, you got a tree out back? Like, what?
Right. An herbal tree? Is that what that is?
Right.
Herbal?
I mean, it is an herbal tree. It is an herbal tree.
That is true. Well, all right, y'all, we're going to go straight into our topic. So our first topic, we're actually going to start with a little unpopular opinion, which Darian found. So
yes, I did.
Yes, you
did.
did.
Well, I was, not necessarily scrolling, minding my business. I guess I was, in a way, trying to make sure I could come up with a topic for this week. And what do you know?
You had a deadline to hit.
Yes, we did. I fell upon some unpopular sex opinions. A Reddit user posed a question like, what is your unpopular sex opinion? So people just started posting and other people were commenting. So I guess I'm just curious to know what you guys think or believe when I say these unpopular opinions. First one, lasting long is not always a good thing. After a while, I just want them to finish because I'm getting tired and the friction is becoming uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So for me, this question's a little bit different. This is gonna sound really braggy, but not after I get finished explaining. I last a long time. I can go for a while. I can go for a while. However, I get tired of having sex.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I would like to finish. Like,
it's a workout.
I'm getting tired, and also like, this is TMI, but whatever, we've known each other for a long time, right? Like, if I go for too long, like, my dick gets soft while we're having sex, and I'm like, no one wants to deal with that.
That's not
like,
cute.
Right.
That's cute.
Right.
That's not cute.
It's just too much work, and I get tired, and I'm like, oh my God. And then, like, because after 30 minutes, they're gonna ask you to come. They're gonna be like, "Oh, come!" Like they're gonna start asking you to like finish, and then it's like, then I feel pressure. Yeah. I feel pressure. I'm like, okay, like here we go. Like, I guess we're gonna just speed through the process or whatever. So like, I think lasting long is like overrated. I'm like, I would rather have like 4 15-minute rounds as opposed to like 2 40-minute ones.
Yeah. And like spaced out. I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Spaced out.
Sometimes like Tyler is like, I guess we're diving into details here, but like,
I mean, he is inherently like personal, so we gonna get to
Yeah, these are sex opinions.
Yeah, right. No. He like lasts long, and which is fine, because like I guess my body is like okay with that or whatever, but like I couldn't imagine going like over an hour or something like that. You know, where like songs are like, oh, we had sex all night long. No. I'm gonna need you to give me a good solid 25 minutes, and then maybe we'll talk about it again later. Like, you know, I don't, it does, yeah, like you said, if you are going too long, there can be like a lot of friction and stuff. And like, as a woman, we know when it starts to get uncomfortable and we're like, okay, buddy, wrap it up. This is about it. We're time to cross the finish line. Let's do something here. But yeah, I think that like, go ahead, Erica.
Oh, I was gonna say, like you said, I was gonna say, like, these songs, don't let these songs fool you, okay? Don't let these songs out here have you thinking that you need to be, it just need to be like a all night kind of thing. Don't let these songs fool you. You're gonna get your feelings hurt, okay? If you're going with that mentality, okay? Don't let these songs fool you.
Right, thinking that it lasts that long, or like, that's funny.
Yeah.
What about you, Joe?
What you got?
I mean, personally, I would like, in my perfect world, like, what are we doing? Eating me out. So I'm nice and well lubricated. And then what are we doing? Strap me down. How many positions? Quite a few. It takes a while.
So it's different for you, though. Like, I feel like it's different for you, though. Like, this is kind of a different conversation.
Right.
A little
like,
bit.
I don't think
kind of.
Not for an hour and a half, though. Because, like, we be tired and we might have to work the next day. So, like, on a weeknight, that's not preferable. But on a weekend, there might be something different, I would hope, maybe.
I can do foreplay forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
I can do all of the pre-sex work for a very long time. The second penetration is involved, I'm like, okay, you have a half hour and then you have to get off.
Start the clock. Start the clock.
Start the clock.
Don't, please, because we're both sweaty. It's gross now. Get off me.
Yeah.
Right, because it is messy and it is work.
Oh.
It is.
Yeah. What? Oh.
What did JoAnn say?
I was like, oh, but you could shower together and that could start something else.
See, and that's my thing. Like, here's the thing. 4 hours broken up into like 30-minute sessions. Lovely. Love that. Like, we start in the bed, we finish. We go to take a shower, we have sex, we finish. We go to the couch, we have sex, we finish. Like, cute, fine, whatever. But it's like the whole, like, this whole, like, Jason Derulo, Trey Songz, like, Usher
Chris
thing
Brown.
like,
yeah, you're right.
Make love all night. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Please get off. Get away from me.
I mean, those niggas might be taking drugs, so if
Hello?
you one, you will
Cocaine.
be all night. So
right, you will be up all night.
A nigga got fantasy.
I do hear if you are
bullshit.
I do hear if you are addicted to cocaine, you can't come, as far as a man comes.
Yeah, I have heard that.
Didn't know that.
So,
that's tough.
As far as we know,
we got.
Some of them are not lasting.
Let's go to the next one.
All right. I'm more satisfied if the other person finishes than if I do.
Agree.
You know, people say that, but I'm like, how? Like, there's only so much of, like, honor and pride you can take. Like, I just, like, come on now. I'm gonna need some tangible, like...
I kind of feel like this is more so for a man than it is for a woman. Because, like, how often is it that, like, obviously the man gets off every time. Yeah. Every single time. Doesn't matter. So, like, this should be a conversation for, like, a man saying this about a woman. Because that doesn't happen for a woman every time. You know what I mean? Whereas like, literally you could just look at a man's dick and he might come.
We come every
What'd you say, Joe?
Great. What did JoAnn say?
I was saying we come every time. Also, fun fact, every time she comes on top of me when we scissoring, I come immediately too.
Love it.
So, see it.
See, and Joe brings up a good point, right? Like, if the other person comes, I come immediately.
Mm-hmm.
It is like such a huge turn on for me because for me, like, I have a right and a left hand. I do not actually need you to have sex with me. Like, I will be fine. It is more about like the intimacy of it for me, and it's also like, ooh, like I can get this other person off, whatever. Like, and it is like it brings me great sexual pleasure to like get another person off, especially a vagina holder. I love that. Like, because that takes work. That takes a lot of work. You could blow on a man's dick and he'll come immediately. Like when I'm like involved with like a lady, I'm like, ooh, like I gotta like devote time into doing this right here. Like, and I have to really be like focused on what is going on. So like when you actually make it happen, it's like, yes.
Fireworks.
Right. It's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the next one?
If you lay all your wants and needs out on the table first, you have a better time later.
Yeah?
That should go without saying.
Yeah.
Because this whole thing of like, oh, like you have X amount of experience, so you should just know. No, because every person's different. Every person's body's different.
Right.
Like, yeah, like
everyone likes different things.
Yeah, like if you just so happen to like figure it out, that's great. But like, nah.
But I like to interject. Virgins don't get that type of
right.
There's that,
and I took 2 virginities.
What you like maybe tell them what you think you would like, and see where you go from there, because you can end up hating it. So,
come on, Darian, with the flex.
I encourage premarital sex. This is why you should always be having sex before you get married.
Oh yeah, test
right, because especially, oh my God, the whole you gotta try the product before you buy it, 100%. Like you cannot go into a marriage and, because like, first off, Peter could literally be like this, and
unless
or she doesn't like any of the things you like, and then it's boring. Like you can't, you can't be doing that.
I mean,
but like I will say though, like, is this like, I hope this isn't necessarily a conversation like in a way that was like, I would like XYZ and in this order or anything like that. No, none of that. Don't like lay a list out and hold it up to him and be like, hey, all these
you have to check these boxes off.
These boxes need to be checked. Don't do that.
It should be a casual conversation about like,
or like
it should be a casual
conversation
about like, oh hey,
or like during the moment or whatever, and you like ask them to do something specific, and then you see like where it goes from there. But don't like at the dinner table be like, so X, Y, and Z needs to be covered for A, B, and C. Yeah, girl, wherever. It doesn't.
Yeah,
these conversations happen everywhere.
Don't get too bogged down in the detail of the example, girly. Like.
But okay, the next one. Calling people daddy is extremely creepy.
Yes. Oh my God.
You're
yes.
bugging.
Oh my God. Yes. That is
okay.
So weird.
I think like when I think of a woman calling a man daddy, I think that she has daddy issues, and I think there's no. I'm not gonna sit there and call my man daddy.
No,
for me that's just weird. That's to me that is creepy. I got one father, a dad. I don't need a daddy on the side. I don't.
A papa. Like I don't know.
Something.
I'm a key all into.
Looking all daddy-ish and shit. I like it.
Okay, well, I think it's circumstantial.
I'm gonna let y'all in on the secret. Right?
But, like, go ahead.
As the nigga in the group. Getting
y'all like that?
Y'all like that? Baby, let me tell you something.
You stole my face.
The cow jumps over the moon. I adore. Now, here's the thing: if we're like walking in the street and you like refer to me as daddy, I'm gonna be
that's
like,
weird.
So do you want to start like going to couples therapy, or like what's the thing that we're talking about here? But if I'm in them yams and you look back at it and you're like, daddy, I'm like,
motherfucking man is what that says.
Like, I'll show you who daddy is. Don't even worry about it. Like, I got your daddy right here.
Yes. You can the entire scene. Yes, that's exactly how it happens.
That'll put you in the maximum overdrive.
You did say you are talking from a man's experience. Now, Tyler doesn't like that. He thinks it's creepy too. And I'm like, cool, because it's not happening. Yeah.
Really?
No.
So like,
he understands sex, like,
you don't call him daddy.
No, I do not.
So what do you call him? Anything?
Baby, Tyler.
Can I interject? Can I interject?
Baby weird then in that case?
Hold on, let Erica.
I have another unpopular opinion that kind of goes to this. Like, don't talk to me. Like, I don't want to. Don't say that.
Shut up, Erica. Shut up.
Oh my God, you say that now, girl.
Erica.
Don't talk. That's so weird. Nah,
yeah, you say that.
You say that.
Erica, you're only saying that. You're only saying that because nobody has dug into your back yet, Chica. Like, I don't want to hear it from you right now. Let a nigga bust you down. Let a nigga bust you down first before you.
So I can't have any opinions.
You can't. Not about this, Chica.
You can.
Let me tell you something.
There's no way that a fuck a shit, a goddamn, or any of
that
that
is fine. No. That is fine. But like anything, like a whole, like people be having like conversations almost, and I'm like,
me and her be cracking jokes because weird noises happen, shit falls. Like I might have fallen in bed and shit get funny.
See,
but then we
one
might
time
be talking about like you had that pillow talk maybe during that
right
or whatever. Like,
sometime one time
talk dirty to me.
One time me and my man literally had like a discussion.
Missy, no.
Like it was
the one word's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Like,
but like
we were having like discourse, girl. Like it was.
That's weird. That's so weird.
I know.
So you don't.
I gotta say,
Joe, what you got?
Joe, go ahead.
Erica, this is directed at you. You saw Hollywood, like she was fucking him and talking to him, right? People be talking.
Yeah, that's weird.
No, it's really hot, Erica.
Imagine me like, so I did this. I ate for this for lunch. I had this was my dinner. Like,
I don't think that's a conversation you were going to be having.
That's
Erica.
not what's going on.
Conversation you're supposed to have.
Erica Danielle Green, let me tell you something right now.
My whole government.
Before, like, what we should do is revisit this specific question after you let somebody break your walls down, Chica. Because
I'm trying.
The things you are saying right now.
As soon as everything is open for real.
The things you are saying right now are not based.
You are not turning niggas down. All 2020 is what Erica said.
They're based upon like things that you think. And let me tell you something right now. As a nigga who has broken down backs and who has gotten his back broken down into, different, much different.
Okay. All right.
What's the next question?
The next question.
That's funny. Okay, we're gonna have to dive deeper into that one. The bed is by far the best place for sex.
No.
I disagree with that.
It's the most comfortable.
That was a quick no.
I'll say that.
It's the most comfortable. True. That doesn't mean it's the best place.
Okay, tangential question. Nastiest place y'all have had sex?
What do you mean
the woods?
The weirdest, like the weirdest, the most unconventional.
Means, JoAnn.
Unconventional.
Don't do that. Did y'all hear me though?
What did you say, Darian?
I said the woods.
The woods?
Me too.
Cool.
Yeah.
The nastiest? I could say the most risky.
Okay,
yeah.
What's that?
In the parking lot.
Okay, I've also done that too.
Same.
I don't feel so bad.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about the bed, right? You get really nice back support. There's a lot of room to like stretch out, sprawl out. There's a lot of room for like positions. When you're on the couch, you can do like from the back and like missionary period. Like you can't do too much. But the bed is super not limiting, I feel like, but it's so like, of course you would have sex in your bed. Like
Right.
Like, nigga, break me down in your kitchen. Like, do something crazy.
I hear that. The dining room table or something.
Say it's the best. Hello? Like, and let me tell you something, like, because the bed is not spontaneous. All those other places, except for like the couch, those are spontaneous locations. And the spontaneity of it is what makes it hotter, I feel like.
Yes, absolutely.
For me,
I agree.
The best place for me is the shower. And I have not been able to get my pussy pounded because my shower's too small. So, waiting until we get a bigger place. I'll let y'all know.
Yeah.
Like that. I already told you.
I also need more room in my shower. My shower's too small.
Yeah,
but it's kind of funny. It's like, you ever seen those memes where it's like how you see or envision shower sex, and then how it actually is? It's like you just doing this, like bending over in the floor, and it's not actually like what you think it is at all.
Ooh, you remember Insecure when Issa and Lawrence were trying to have shower sex? That's basically what my shower's fucking like right now.
Mad awkward. Mad
horrible. There's barely any room. Like, you get this plate. I got no water. I want some soap. Get some soap. It's too much talking. The mood is ruined. At this point, we just ourselves.
That's why whenever I have like my own house one day, like the bathroom and my closet are going to be the determining factor, because like my shower needs to have 2 shower heads and like be one of those like big square ones that you can walk into.
Oh,
like none of that tub shit.
Crying.
All right.
Okay, what's the next one?
The next one says getting fingered is better than receiving oral.
This is y'all's.
I disagree.
I can't speak on this one. And
Wait, hold on.
I don't think I heard this story.
I have not heard this either.
Me neither.
Erica Danielle
I
Green.
can tell you. What's up with my government just being out here today?
Because you holding out on us, girl.
Although I have called Darian by her government name plenty of times, so I guess okay. But now, wait, say the question one more time.
Somebody was finger blasting you, girl. Who had their hands in your pussy?
Wow.
Okay. The question says getting fingered is better than receiving oral.
No.
And you said you could speak to me.
Erica,
I would like you to speak to
you had an
Erica.
opinion on this.
I said it's equal. Like it's equal. Cool.
I like
on either. It depends on who the person is. Yes, I do. It depends on the person, really. But I don't know.
I just had to figure out who this person is and when this happened.
A long time ago. I didn't even like mention it ever, but it was a while ago, like years ago.
I'm so irritated right now.
We done told you so many
All kinds
nasty stories. Justin talking about punch me in the face, spit in my mouth, all this other shit, and you don't want to divulge that information.
I didn't think it was that. Like I didn't think it was because mine does not even compare to, especially Justin's. Mine does not even compare.
It's still an experience.
You can't compare yourself to something.
It's something that we.
Myself.
Look,
anyway,
my boyfriend was like, "You're nasty. Like, you can't compare yourself to me. I'm gross. Like,
I'm gross." But yeah. But what about? Oh, well, what about everybody else?
I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't like. I think, okay, fingering is like, okay, yeah, there's a little something there, but I think like oral is like, will bring you to that spot. Like I've never like,
there's a little something.
I always felt like
crying.
There's like, it's not anything that's going to get me to like come, if that makes any sense. But like oral is like a for sure way to get me to come.
got it.
Joe?
Right.
Going based off of what you said, Erica, you were like, it depends on the person. So I'm looking at Stacy, and that still don't help. Because both, and they both get me to where I need to be. So which one do I like? Or maybe the question. I'd say head. Oral for me.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I don't think that they equate to be the same.
They even better together, but yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Hold on real quick before we go to the next one. Just for people who like eat pussy, please eat pussy and finger at the same time. Like you should be doing both.
Should.
Like maybe not necessarily at the same time all the time, but like it really shouldn't be a like one or the other. Like if my face is down there, so are my hands.
Okay, for the men out there who don't know. Dive in.
Right.
Okay. Missionary sex doesn't deserve all the hate.
Agree.
I agree as well.
Why do y'all think that?
Because I think it's like it. Go ahead, Justin.
It's so intimate.
Yes,
like,
that's all I was gonna say.
It's such an intimate experience. Like I get to like look at you in your face. Like I'm a big fan of kissing. Like while we're like having sex, like I'm like, no, we need to be like making out.
You make people fall in love.
And I also like I make you look at me. Like I make you open your eyes and look at me. Like when I'm like in it.
Oh, that's
and I'm
nice.
Like, it's intense. Like you really are able to like connect with another person on a different level in that position. Now I will say like we don't need to be fucking like this all the time, but I think it's nice. I think it's a nice starting or a nice ending position.
Good position, definitely.
Yeah, I would say that as well. It's not something you have to do for the whole 25-minute duration, but
yeah, but I wouldn't want to do any position forever.
No.
Right. Like, it's just a good, like, way to intertwine it into all the other things that you're doing.
Exactly.
Whether it be the beginning, the last, or the middle, it doesn't really matter. I think that people are always talking about how boring it is, but, like, I feel like those are the people that are maybe scared of intimacy and commitment and just kind of want to, like, get it started and get it done. It could be that, because I've never had a problem with it.
Me
personally. I quite enjoy it.
Yep.
It's probably the reason I like scissoring now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
there you go.
There you go. That's that on that.
Tangential question. What's your favorite sex position? I don't know if I've
I
asked.
don't have one.
Okay.
Just X me out this conversation.
I don't really know what it's called. I don't know what it's called, but like we are both laying down on our sides and we're both facing the same direction.
Yes.
And I've
heard that's nice.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Like if you're like spooning and then you're like and you're like spooning, you're like spooning and it's like, ooh, like I felt you move your hip a little bit, and now I'm gonna move my hip a little bit more in response. And then it's like, oh, I wanna go inside now, like, and then we're like going at it. It's a very like chill position. It doesn't require a lot of me, like, because I'm laying down. But it's so I'm like, oh, this is nice. Like I get to like grab you and shit like that. Like I really enjoy that one. I don't know what it's called, but I really like it.
Right. I was just thinking it would be spooning, or I would think that's what it'd be called. That's a hard one for me. I don't know, actually. That's a hard one for me.
What position do you usually start with, D?
Whichever one I'm in the mood for. I don't know. It's a toss-up for us. It's a toss-up. I don't know if I necessarily have a favorite, because, like, not to sound, I don't know. I have, like, been able to get off in multiple, so I wouldn't necessarily say I have a favorite.
Yeah.
So I'll skip me too. I'm probably not.
Joe, what you got?
My favorite used to be doggy style, but now is scissoring a position?
Scissoring is a position.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
Thanks, Stacy.
Yeah.
It's that for me.
Hi, Stacy.
Very, very, very.
Hey, Stacy.
But yeah, it's my.
You said what?
I used to hate it. I never liked that position ever before.
Why was that?
Girlfriend. Because maybe they weren't doing something right. I wasn't in the mood, didn't care.
You did say that one day on a podcast. I remember you did say that like a long time ago.
I hate it. It's pointless. Why do people do it? It's dumb.
You did say that. You did. I remember.
Okay, and then we have one more.
It's not dumb.
Yeah, this is our last one.
Okay.
Eating ass is not a crime.
100% agree.
That's disgusting.
Listen.
Right.
Man. So like as a gay man,
Yep.
right? That was not my ministry for a while. Like that was not my movement, that was not my ministry, because like I was involved with people whose hygiene I could not necessarily trust. I'm like, I don't know you like that, and I don't really know what you be doing. When I started hooking up with the man who is now my boyfriend, we like the first time we hooked up, I was like, oh, I'm gonna eat his ass today. I was like, I'm going to do that. I now, since doing that, could never not eat ass. I could never not do that in my entire life. It is so thrilling, so fulfilling, and so chilling.
Oh, that's funny.
It's really nice. Now, I will say, I have never eaten a lady's ass before. It's not because I don't want to, but like I have found that women are weird about butt stuff.
Yes, we are.
Which I completely respect that, but I'm like, listen, especially like I like giving head. I like giving head more than I like getting head or like having sex. And I mean that very genuinely. And I'm like, if my tongue is already like the pussy is right here, the asshole is right here. My tongue is like, right here, girl. Yeah, move it down. It's right there. You might as well just let me. But they're like, no, like whatever. So I've not actually experienced what that's like on a lady, but I will say like it's so fun on dudes. It's like, 'cause they get like, oh my God. Like, it's fun. That's all I'll say about that.
I don't think like it does anything for me, actually.
It tickles to me.
I don't feel like, yeah, it tickles. Like, I don't feel like it really does anything, personally. And also, like, I also can't imagine reciprocating that as well to a man.
Right.
I just don't think I could.
Very
I'm not going to
nice.
say it's nasty because, like, people do it and it's whatever your preference is. But, like,
right.
I personally, like, knowing myself, couldn't do it.
Here's the thing. I've gotten my ass eaten like several times, and every time it's happened, I'm like, oh, I could go and meet Jesus right now.
Oh,
I was like, I might. I might, like, I can feel my soul disconnecting. I'm like, oh, this is euphoric.
Oh.
Nice.
It's like really crazy for me. I'm like, oh, like, it's glorious. I would also say, like, to a lot of these questions, try them first. You feel what I'm saying? Like, because I was not into ass eating, and I was also not into foot stuff until I tried both of those things. And now I'm like, I need both of those things in my sex life. I need them desperately.
Right. Okay. I hear what you're saying. I guess it's just like I need to get over like this whole mind over matter thing when it comes to it. It's like in my head that like something gross is going to happen the moment that I do that. You see what I'm saying? That's the only thing. That's the only reason why I can't do it.
And I enjoy
JoAnn.
My girlfriend like eats me out and sticks like a finger in there. So
okay, I can do like a thumb, right?
Yeah. I mean, if she wanted to try it, eat my ass, so that's up to her. I try it. I don't think she's into it though, so we're gonna see how that goes.
Let us know.
Let us know. Let us know. Let us know.
That's hilarious.
Eye emojis.
There you go.
Texting me.
What's up next?
All right.
Yeah, which topic?
Well, all right, y'all. So we're gonna move on to our next topic, which comes from me. So I have to read, so my screen goes blank. That's why. So I put this in our little group chat because like I always do. I was minding my business on Twitter, actually, not Instagram, but I was minding my business on Twitter, and I saw this tweet, and it was really interesting. So it says, "I hate to be that person, but we really don't have that many people in this musical climate who may leave an enormous impact like these artists who came up in our parents' generation. It's crazy when you think about it." So that kind of got me thinking, because I was like, do we not have people who could be considered like legends or who have that enormous staying power? I disagree personally with that statement. Like, I think that Nicki Minaj would be considered a legend. Beyonce, if you consider, it also depends on what you consider our generation. Sometimes some people, depending on who you are when you were born, like Beyonce is a legend, but is she in our generation? I don't know, because it depends on what you consider to be generation also, and what you consider to be legend. Like those two terms are very like up to you,
right?
But,
like, because are we basing it off of like Gen X, Gen Z, Boomers, and stuff like that? Like, is that what we're basing it off of?
Like our generation. So I'll say, well, I mean, so like most. Me, Justin, and Darian are 23, so we're born in like 97, and then Joe is 26. You're born in like 93. So like that ballpark of generation right there. So if that's the case, then yeah, Beyonce's in our generation. But like for me, Beyonce, Nicki, I can even see like Drake being a legend.
Drake is definitely a legend,
right? I even said like Bruno Mars. I think Bruno Mars would be pretty good. Yeah. I like. Also, too, when people think about this, like, I feel like we're not going to know until time goes on. Like, these people are still making music right now, and it's kind of hard to say, like, whether or not there's not going to be someone that we, like, 20, 30 years from now are still going to be listening to. I mean, I think for sure Beyonce, I feel like that's hands down we're going to be listening to Beyonce for the next 40 years. But, like, can you imagine people in the 90s were like, yeah, we're going to be listening to Britney Spears 25 years from now? I'm not so sure
Right.
like people during that time were thinking like this girl's gonna go down in history, and yet she's probably one of the most iconic pop singers known today, and people still play her music. People still listen to her, like karaoke to her and all that other shit. Like we don't specifically know. It's kind of hard for us to tell like who is going to go down in history and who's just going to be someone that we like kind of remember. Like when we listen to our parents play music and we're like, okay, this person was popular back then, but they don't really, you know, their music doesn't really hit you the same like it did at the moment.
Gonna age.
Right. Like I'm not like. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it depends on what, you know, with staying power. Like you have to think like our parents and our grandparents had to get out of their house, drive to a store, and go buy the music that they wanted to listen to. So they had them CDs for years and years and years. We can just download an app, press play, save it, and then now we have it. So I feel like staying power is a little bit difficult for these artists now because like you could have a YouTube hit, you could have and you have one hit wonders back in our parents' generation, but it's like these one hit wonders, we still played that one hit, you know what I'm saying? But there's so many people who like on YouTube and who create one little smash hit and then that's it. So I feel like in this generation, it's definitely harder to become a legend because having longevity and having staying power is a little bit harder because our mindset now is a little bit more like, okay, on to the next thing, on to the next thing, on to the next thing. Whereas our parents,
I really think.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, our parents, like, they had the whole CD, they had the whole collection. They didn't have an option just to buy the single. You had to buy the whole thing. So, you know, they still, like, my dad still has CDs. Like, he doesn't really pull them out like that, but he still has them. So, you know, and, like, records, like, Michael Jackson, oh, my God, like, Michael Jackson, like, whereas now, like, you can just buy a single from the one song you like, and then that's it. So, like, and it's harder to have staying power and to be legendary, to be on that legendary path now, I feel like. So I could agree with the tweet is saying, if the tweet were to say, like, it would be harder to do that, then yes. But to say, like, we will have none, I don't agree with that, personally.
I also kind of feel like people are more open to listening to all kinds of different music now. Whereas, like, if you think about it, going back 40 years ago, like, there are probably, like, 4 genres specifically in which people listen to music. Whereas like there are so many different things, and like alternative can literally mean anything, and you can like R&B sounds very different now, and like can have very different faces and styles and all this other stuff. Like, and then with that being said comes all these different artists. Like back then, like yes, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, people who are like really big powerhouses, they were very popular at the time, but like all at the same time, like they were within whatever genre was going on at that time. Like now we have like just this big spectrum of styles and people, that it kind of makes it hard as well, because like we have so many people to choose from. There are so many artists
now. Yeah. Justin, what do you think?
It's sort of I think it's a mix of like what Erica was saying. What Erica was saying is just like, it's harder now because the climate is different. Things move a lot faster. But also, we have this like habit of like deifying anything that existed before the year 1999. Like, we get huge nostalgia boners for everything that happened before we were born. And that has sort of created a larger like chasm between now and back then. Like, and the status of like legend, it's harder to reach because of how highly we've placed everybody. Like you talk about anybody from before the year 2000, oh, they were legendary, oh, they were so this, oh, they were so that. Like, as anybody, that's niggas from Michael Jackson. We use it too often. That's niggas from Michael Jackson to Jodeci, to AC/DC, to fucking Humpty Dumpty. Like, all these niggas, everybody was legendary. And if everybody is legendary, nobody is, right? And it makes it really, really tricky now to do these things. But also, I think what happens now is we look at what was going on back then, and we immediately try to shoehorn our modern artists into these like legendary statuses. When our parents were growing up listening to music, like no one was sitting around having these conversations about like, do you think Doja Cat is going to be a legend in 30 years? you just
right.
you bought her music and you listened to it and you went to her shows and you like supported her and did whatever else, and then 20 years later you're like, oh, Doja Cat was a legend. You know what I mean? Like you do those things. I feel like now, because everything moves so quickly, you have to be a legend by your first album. You know, like you have to drop basically what is like essentially the New Testament on your debut project, or get out of the way. Like we don't give artists the room to develop, I feel like now. And also, like, it is a weird thing of like, where does our generation mark end? Because like I very much, Drake is a legend, Kendrick Lamar is a legend, Beyonce is a legend, what have you. And I think that there are people, and like as far as R&B goes, I think that there are people that are being talked about now that will be talked about much more like later down the line, because like we do have, there's a lot of music, but there's not a lot of cream that rises to the top. There's not 1,000 Kailanis, there's not 1,000 Hers, there's not 1,000 Summer Walkers, like
SZA's,
there's not, and
SZA for real.
SZA specifically is a girl who I'm like,
she better
y'all
be
need to be keeping an eye out for that one, because
right, like
Solana Rowe is not to be like
trifled with at all.
Her pen is crazy, her vocal performances are crazy, and like her music videos, her live shows, everything is like she's an artiste, like the whole thing.
Do you guys also think,
go ahead,
like,
Darian.
I was just gonna say, do you guys also think that when someone takes their time to put out a new album, we like forget about them completely? Like, unless, because like you said, how we don't like let artists grow. If they drop that first album and it like, some of it's okay, but it's not like enough to where you're like bumping it all summer, or it's not enough to where like you can't wait for the concert or something like that. But like we like do this thing where we start to kind of forget about them. But what I have noticed like about myself, and I feel like Justin probably does this too, is like I may not care for like the first album of an artist, but when they drop like a second or third album and that I feel like is really good, then like obviously I'm listening. I'll like go back and listen and continue to listen, and be like, and see like how and in what way they have changed and evolved. And then I give them their credit for that. And I feel like a lot of people don't do that. They'll be like, they'll listen to the first album and be like, this was shit. And then they don't go back or continue to listen to whatever they put out after that. And I feel like that also is part of the problem.
Yeah.
Joe, what you think?
My opinion on this is like two-part. So like one, I'm kind of a numbers person. I guess like literally you could look at and see like farther down the road, like how many sales or how many views, how many listens, how much did this get? And you can just quantifiably put that as this person's a legend. And like the second part of that, I feel like we make people legendary. Like we pass down stories down to our children. Like I went to this concert, it was crazy. I listened to this at this time in my life, this was crazy. Like we can make them legends within like our own legacy, that type of thing. So that's my thoughts on it.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. Like, because I think about the music that like our parents listen to, and like even our grandparents, whomever, right? Anybody who's in their like late teens to mid 20s, whatever music you are listening to right now is the best music that ever came out, in your opinion. Like, this is the music that is coming out when you are getting your first jobs and falling in love and having sex and like doing all of these things, right? Like these albums, these musicians are shaping and informing and narrating how we are like growing up right now. So like for me, like for my dad, it was Prince and it was Run DMC and it was Aerosmith and AC/DC and like Michael Jackson and all these other niggas. For me, I cannot wait to like my kids will wake up on Saturday morning and hear Frank Ocean playing. They will hear Solange playing. They will hear fucking who like and but you have the rock bands too. Like I listened to this band out of England called the 1975. Like whoever it is, don't you love the 1975?
They're good as fuck.
They're phenomenal. And even like, but what I'm realizing now is like, as I'm getting a little bit older, so I'm like less interested in hearing a bunch of new acts. So like,
right,
we're getting to a cap here to where like once I hit 25, I don't really care what else comes out, because as far as I'm concerned, like the year 2013 was when music got really hot for me. Like that's when music started popping. Earl Sweatshirt, Tyler the Creator, Schoolboy Q, Mac Miller, Childish Gambino. Because the internet, thank you, JoAnn, for bringing that up, because the internet is one of the most integral albums to me as a human being.
Of my life.
So like, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, Childish Gambino is a legend as far as I'm concerned. And specifically that album, Because the Internet, that album like constructed me. And so I am interested. I think that JoAnn hit it so well on the head, where it's just like, we are going to end up creating who these legends are. And I think we already kind of are. If y'all are on Twitter and you ever like come across a tweet that is like, if you listen to these 20 artists, you're really, really cool. And it'd be like Daniel Caesar, Brent Faiyaz, Her, Kehlani Frank, like all these people. Pay attention to those lists, because in 2-3 decades, we're going to be like revisiting it and being like, they were pioneers, they were legends, they were like frontiersmen of the things that they are doing. And you can like also pay attention to, because right now what we're seeing very much is a renaissance or a regurgitation of music from the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Yes, absolutely.
People are frothing at the mouth to do what our parents were doing and what we talk shit about, but better.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. And
have you listened to Dua Lipa yet?
Oh my God, that Future Nostalgia album cracks off. Yes.
So good. I was thinking that too whenever I was listening to it. Speaking of taking, you know, the vibes from 70s, 80s, 90s or whatever, I was like, that whole album is an 80s vibe. And I was like, every song on there is so fucking good. I was like, as soon as we can get out here and I can go to a Dua Lipa concert, I'm doing that.
So we're gonna see in a couple decades, one more thing before I let you go, Erica. Like, we're gonna see in a couple decades, we're gonna be able to look at the music and be like, oh, you're just doing what Dua Lipa did when I was a kid. Oh, you're just doing what Kendrick Lamar did when I was a kid. Oh, you're just doing what Doja Cat is doing. So we're going to be able to see who was a legend in our time by seeing who gets bidden off of later on.
Right. Because if you think... Go ahead, Erica.
Nothing's new under the sun either. Like that makes me mad. People like, oh, she stole this sound. I mean, because that person who stole that sound, the person before them stole the sound for somebody else. So there's really nothing new under the sun. I hate when people say that, like, oh, she copied me. Like, unless she just line for line, bar for bar, just sang your song. Like, no, like nothing's new under the sun. There's nothing original to me, in my opinion, anymore. Like that's just that doesn't exist. You would have to, like, I don't even know, like you get something from somewhere. You were inspired by somebody. Like even if it sounds just up and nice, like it came from somewhere. But also I want to say, like, especially this conversation is specific to R&B, because R&B in 1995 sounds different from R&B in 2020, right? So like R&B was very much like in the 90s was very much like soulful, I love you, or like I hate you because I first broke up with you, or like like you did me wrong, like that, that kind of R&B, right? But now like R&B sounds like so different. It's like R&B and trap. One of my favorite albums of all time is Bryson Tiller's Trap Soul. That's like one of my favorite albums like of all time. And R&B just sounds so different. So I'm really interested to see like I'm personally am a Kehlani fan. I hope Kehlani is considered a legend in 10, 20 years.
Right.
And SZA and like, I don't know, R&B just sounds a little different. R&B now is like a lot of like R&B and trap, or R&B like futuristic kind of thing. So I feel like also we have to like take that and be a little more almost forgiving almost, because sometimes people are like, this isn't real R&B. But I'm like, well, like it's different. Like R&B in 2020 is different from R&B when Faith Evans and Mary J. Blige and all of them were doing R&B. Like that's just a different thing.
You know what I think about with R&B?
Jo looks like she wants to say something.
No, I was enjoying the conversation when you said.
Oh, bro, I was like, I thought Joe was like, oh, I can't wait till they call on me. Like,
That's funny. But what I would say that I think about R&B now is that like it's so much more truthful. Like people literally talk about everything when it comes to R&B now. Like how we were talking about like in the 90s where it's like soulful and we're talking about love and we're talking about heartbreak. Now we're talking about literally everything. We're talking about the toxic man in her life, how her friends aren't shit, like the money she's making. You know, it's not just about, it's like literally telling a story, which R&B should be. But like at the same time now, it's like there's nothing really, and I think mostly I speak for saying this for women, because whenever people look at them differently when they sing about things such as like drugs and sex and stuff like that, like now they're like being honest and truthful, and I think that's the difference for me when I listen to R&B from the 90s to now.
I was about to say, have y'all heard, because that was my obsession last time, Brent Faiyaz, Rehab. Literally, if you listen to the song, it is literally about he loves his girl, but she loves drugs more than she loves him, but he still loves her. Like, it's, you have to listen. It's also like real.
This phenomenon that's happening right now, which is like been personally plaguing my life, is like genre is dying. Like
yeah, which is why what I said earlier. Almost.
These lines between pop and R&B and hip hop and rock and metal, they're disappearing. And
which I'm not mad at.
I love that.
Right.
I'm not mad at that.
I adore that. But what I will say is that like as an artist, it makes it tricky when you're making music, because like when I'm sitting down making music, I'm not focused on like, oh, I'm gonna make this type of, I'm just like da 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 da, and then you get a song out. But where you run into issues, where these artists run into issues, where we as artists run into issues, is like, right, I made Casanova, right, wrote Casanova, sang Casanova, recorded Casanova, found all the things for the song, whatever. And then it came time to submit the thing to TuneCore to like release it. They're like, oh, what genre is this? And I like had like a week-long like panic. I was like,
a week?
I was like, I don't know what the genre is. I was like, I don't know. And I think it is a good thing in the long haul, but I do think it will make some artists don't have to have that like issue. Kehlani makes R&B music. We know this. Jhené Aiko makes R&B music. We know this.
Keisha Cole
makes R&B music. We know this. Where you get into tricky spaces is where you get artists that are like clearly don't give a fuck about genre, like don't care, where you start getting into your Frank Oceans. If you go and look on any of the music on iTunes from Frank, it's classified as pop music. And it don't make no sense. Like the whole like alternative label right now, it's like, bruh, what does that mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I
even
think
like
that
Chris
the
Brown. That was even Chris Brown, because Chris Brown was R&B for like 90% of the time, but he had like a pop stage, like Kanye West. That's a good one. Kanye West.
Great.
Rap, and then he did 808 and Heartbreak, which was real, whatever that was, and then he went back to rap, and then now he's a gospel artist, like, and it's fine. Like I'm with you. I'm with him.
You should be able to explore as an artist though without having to have those restrictions. Like if you start off as like a country artist like Taylor Swift, this is an example, you shouldn't be able to not venture off into pop. Like I think you should be able to do whatever you want. But I think also when we speak of alternative, I think that's the option that they give people when they don't necessarily want to define themselves under one genre. I would think that alternative should like give you kind of free reign to be and do what you want, even though it kind of puts you into a box.
It's going to end up being problematic, I think, in a couple decades when we start having these discussions as far as like, okay, so who is legendary? Because whenever we talk about any artist, we're not just talking generally. We're like, oh, who are the top 20 R&B legends? Who are the top 25 hip hop legends? Who, you know, and it's going to be weird when these lists come out and motherfuckers are like, yeah, but they never made hip hop music. Why are you calling that hip hop? But it's like, that's because like, what was hip hop when Sugar Hill Gang came out with that 25-minute song about the Knicks playing basketball is much different than the hip hop now, where like motherfuckers are like talking about whatever they want to. So,
Yep.
Right.
That's different. Joe, you got anything to add as we end this topic out?
What is our last?
I just love music. I got nothing else to add. I feel great.
I feel like people also.
I'm ready for the nostalgia of cartoons. Cartoons shaped our childhoods. Yes.
Yes. Well, yeah. So moving on to our last topic is Justin's topic. So go ahead, Justin. Take it.
Yes. Okay.
Wait,
so
did you spend an hour like coming up with this intro?
No, I'm gonna construct this as I'm talking right now.
Go for it.
So, as many of you know, the groundbreaking, genre-bending, culturally impactful television program known as Avatar: The Last Airbender has made its way in its totality to Netflix, which you can just go stream book 1, 2, and 3 of one of the greatest television shows of all time. And so this is a show that we all, like, it was around when we were all kids. And it is a show right now that is like being talked about every day online, like, because people are reminiscing and they're like having discussions about it and whatever. What I have noticed about The Last Airbender is, like, this is my feelings about it removed. It is a well-written television program. It is compelling. It is emotional. It is gritty at times. It is very sad. It is very happy and joyous. There are themes of love and genocide and imperialism and capitalism and revolution and all these things going on, and wealth and pop, all these things going on. This show came out when I was like 10. I was a 10-year-old, and it's not like it was a show. Avatar: Last Airbender is not a show that was written for adults. It really wasn't. This was a children's program that we were watching when we were 10, but they were exploring all of these like very heavy topics, right? And it's a show now that I'm like, oh fuck, like this show is crazy. And they're coming out with a remake of it soon. What I have been thinking about mainly is just like, are there any other shows like Airbender that were that gripping?
Yeah, I just thought of one. While you were talking. I just thought of one. I think, and I don't think, well, actually, I don't know if this show is meant for children. Actually, now I'm sitting here thinking about it, but it's a cartoon, so I'm gonna go with it. The Boondocks was that show. Like, the Boondocks.
Right.
And as I'm talking, like, I don't know if it's meant for children, but it was a cartoon. Probably not. But it was like really, I watched it when I was a kid.
Let me define what I mean when I say kid shows. If the show came on after 10 p.m., it's not a kid show, number one. Number two,
that's true.
If it did not come on PBS, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, or Disney Channel, not a kid show.
It's not? Or you said
no.
It
can't be a kid's show if it isn't on any of those channels, because those channels are specifically for children.
Right.
I said if it did, I was like, what? Okay, I get it.
Because at present, the only show that I know of out of those 4 channels and out of the decade that I was watching TV as a kid, the only show that even is kind of that good is Airbender. The only show even a little bit good like that.
Because like,
and what decade are we basing this on?
You said what?
What decade are we basing this on? The 2000s?
Yeah.
It was like around the 2000s.
Yeah.
We had to have been around the same age, so.
But I think it was like pre-Obama, or maybe like
like it was
definitely pre-Obama.
Like going into middle school or something. Like, we were children.
We were kids.
Long story short, but like Justin and I had a pretty in-depth conversation about Avatar the other day on the phone, and also sitting here trying to think of nostalgic shows, I cannot compare anything to it, because as Justin said, like, the show gives you so many different emotions for a children's show. It is so well thought out, and whenever it, like, kind of in a way too, and Justin pointed this out to me and I didn't think about it until now, it's like almost a reenactment of what the Holocaust was, but in children's form.
Right.
Because there was a genocide of an entire race of people. There was also like one group was taking over, like trying to take over the entire world and like kind of be superior to everyone else. Like it's really deep if you think about it. And like watching it like now, I'm starting to like realize that and think about those things, because as a kid, I'm just thinking of all the funny things that Sokka's doing, or like all the adventures that Aang wants to do because he wants to ride on giant